Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Spirit Speakeasy. I'm Joy Giovanni, Joyful Medium. I'm a working psychic medium, energy healer, and spiritual gifts mentor. This podcast is like a seat at the table in a secret club, but with mediums, mystics, and the spiritual luminaries of our time. So come behind the velvet ropes with me and see inside my world as I chat insider style with profoundly gifted souls. We go deep, share juicy stories, laugh a lot, and it wouldn't be a speakeasy without great insider secrets and tips. You might even learn that you have some gifts of your own. So step inside the Spirit Speakeasy. Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to Spirit Speakeasy, or if you're a first timer, welcome for the first time. I am Joy Giovanni, Joyful Medium, and today we're going to talk about 5 habits of highly fulfilled people. Over the years, we have all heard a lot about being highly productive, or highly active, or highly driven, or highly successful, highly achieving, things like that. But what about being highly fulfilled? What about being highly content? What about highly enjoying the sweetness of life? We don't hear as much about that. So as we continue into this new year, I really felt inspired to dig deeper into what elements people who are highly fulfilled have in common and what you and I can do to adopt those habits into our lives to feel more fulfilled. Now, vocabulary.com defines fulfillment as a feeling of happiness and satisfaction. And they go on to say it's also the completion of something, like the fulfillment of a promise. But they define success as an event that accomplishes its intended purpose. Those are very different things. Those feel very different. So for our purposes today, we are going to take these definitions and I'm going to give you 5 habits of highly fulfilled people. So this first habit that I want to talk about is intention. And I'm back to thinking about focusing on our intention. So if our intention is success, like we talked about, success is an event that accomplishes its intended purpose. So if we're focused on success, that is an ever-changing goal point, right? For you, success today might mean something very different than it did 10 years ago in your life. So if we're focusing on success, it's almost that feeling of the hamster wheel that we're constantly chasing, but not really moving forward. A lot of us relate success to dollar amounts, for example. And we all know that there's this thing called inflation in our world where maybe what we earn today might not be as valuable 10 years from now. I can almost promise you that it won't. So framing your financial success goals based on what we understand today and then reaching that point, well, everything around you might have shifted. So trying to pin your feelings of fulfillment and attach them to this intention of success is not going to feel as fulfilling. I think we've all done it this way for a long time. So if we can think about shifting our intention to fulfillment, this is one of the things that highly fulfilled people have in common. Success is a destination, while fulfillment is an emotion that we experience along the way. A gentleman named Chris Duffy, he is the host of TED's hit podcast, How to Be a Better Human. And on a recent episode, he was talking about how he's reframed this for himself. He's also a writer and a comedian. And he was saying something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing here, of course. It's a great episode if you want to listen to it. He was saying that he used to frame his goals as this desire to, for example, like write and sell a best-selling script that turns to a successful series. But he realized that there's several elements of that goal that are really completely out of his control. If you know anything about film and television, it takes several people making several decisions to decide if something is successful, for example. So he shifted his focus on writing or creating the best project that he could rather than on the outcome of it being picked up or sold or produced in a certain way. So, really, one of the things that highly fulfilled people are doing is shifting their intention from a goal that might have a lot of elements that aren't within their control to shifting the intention to being fulfilled, right? So, you can tailor this based on whatever is your career or whatever your goals are, whatever's going on in your life, but just making the attention one of feeling fulfilled by the act of doing whatever it is you're doing. So, feeling fulfilled by having a clean house, for example, rather than the goal of keeping it perfectly clean all the time as being the only point of success. So, just reframing our intentions away from success and towards fulfillment is one of the things that helps highly fulfilled people be more fulfilled, having the intention or the goal of fulfillment. A second thing that highly fulfilled people have in common is this awareness of what I call the dominant vibration. Now, what is a dominant vibration? As you know, emotions, feelings are energy. And I bet that you can think of a time when you have met up with a friend or a colleague and they have just felt kind of annoyed. Their words are fine, they are not being rude, but you can feel the emotion or the vibration coming off of them or emitting from it's really from their aura, but from them of frustration, for example. Well, that's their dominant vibration, their dominant emotion. And that dominant vibration can be caused by all kinds of things, can be caused by thoughts or fears, moods, attitudes, that kind of a thing. And what highly fulfilled people know and understand is that what we focus on grows. What we appreciate appreciates, is another way to say it. So when you're affirming, acknowledging, wow, I'm so annoyed, or I feel so unfulfilled right now, that is going to create more of that feeling. So highly fulfilled people are making sure that their dominant vibration is giving off what they want to attract. Now, I want to give a little caution here. This is not to say bypass your difficult emotions. That's spiritual bypassing. We talk a lot about that here too. But honor those emotions, understand them, and then intentionally choose the dominant vibration that you want to give off. Getting clear on your dominant vibration can shift everything. And sometimes it's as simple as one of the things I do personally is sometimes I'll lay in bed at night before I go to sleep for just a few extra minutes, or sometimes maybe in the morning before I get up, and I will just let myself feel fulfilled. Now, what does that mean? For me, it's often focusing on the things that I am grateful for. We always have a bucket of things that we could identify as not perfect or not going right or sometimes traumatic in some cases. But what could we focus on for just a couple minutes that does feel fulfilling in our lives? What are you so happy about? What are you so grateful for? Some of you know I have some health challenges around my lungs. And so some of mine is just feeling so fulfilled that I can breathe on my own. How wonderful that feels. How fulfilling it feels to be moving towards perfect health. And so my dominant vibration is how good it feels in that example to be moving towards perfect health, how good it feels to be breathing. And really, you know that we are subject to this thing called law of attraction. So that dominant vibration that we are emitting, giving off, that is expanding from our physical body, from our soul, that dominant vibration is what we are going to attract into our experience. That's why highly fulfilled people know that being in charge of or intentionally setting, getting clear on your dominant vibration can shift everything. That's a fun one to play with. Now, number 3 of our habits of highly fulfilled people is this ability to evaluate, reevaluate, and pivot with what's working for you. This is true in all areas of our life. It can be true in business, it can be true in relationships, in parenting, in just about anything that we do. the most highly fulfilled people realize that sometimes a habit that used to work for us doesn't work anymore. You can see it so simply in parenting. You guys, if you've been with me a little while, you know I use a lot of personal examples because that's the examples I understand and have. So I'm often giving personal TMI. Get close and comfy with me. So my kids are adults now, and I've had to really shift my relationship with them. They don't need to be parented in the way that they did when they were small. They're adults, they're in their 20s. So we can see this ability to evaluate, reevaluate, and pivot, shift in this example really easily because even yourself, if you think about it, you probably want a totally different relationship with your parent as an adult than you did as a kiddo. We need to support them differently. I need to show up for them differently. Sometimes they don't want my advice. So I try to be more aware that they have their own ideas, that they have their own wisdom. And so it's been a big shift for me, a big pivot to evaluate what is working now for them as individuals in their relationship with me as a mom. And it's very different than what they needed even just a couple of years ago. So, how can you evaluate and reevaluate and pivot what's working for you? As you guys know, we're ever evolving, ever changing. So sometimes something that works for us for a while might feel stagnant or might not work anymore. And it's one of the coolest habits that highly fulfilled people all have a working understanding of, this ability to evaluate and reevaluate what is working and what's not. Now, we know that a lot of people do this in business, but are you doing it in your personal life, in your relationships, in what works for you as far as your spiritual practice, for example? If you heard the talk about the numerological predictions for 2023, we're in a 7-year. It's about your spiritual practice. So maybe in the past, it used to work for you to do devotions at night, for example, to meditate or pray or read or whatever your spiritual practice entails. Maybe when you were younger, you had more freedom at night. Maybe your kids were asleep then. That's true for me. And now maybe it makes more sense for you and is more fulfilling for you in a long-term way to shift that practice to the morning. Maybe that's where you're getting the most. Maybe that's where you're the freshest and clearest, or maybe that's where you have the most quiet time for inspiration. But it's really about just evaluating and then reevaluating. It's not a one and done thing, right? With what's working for us. So this ability to evaluate, reevaluate, and pivot is so common in highly fulfilled people. So where in your life could you reevaluate and just fine tune some things that maybe used to work for you in a different way? We have just come out of COVID shutdown. I mean, maybe not just, but we're still, I don't know, unfolding into this new way of being. And maybe during the shutdown period, maybe you had much more time to cook. I know I did. And now I've had to shift to meal prep and getting things prepared for me in advance. And that gives me more time and space to work on things that are fulfilling to me. So, how can you adopt this habit and evaluate, reevaluate, pivot some things? And then, does the task or behavior serve your intention, right? So, there really are so many ways that we can be hanging on to something from the past that just doesn't work, and highly fulfilled people just don't do this. So, number 4, prioritizing connection with family, friends, and self. This is something that highly fulfilled people are very good at. And remember, it all starts with the self. If you're not prioritizing that time for yourself, how can you know what you need? How can you prioritize anyone else? In my research, came across some really cool articles on lifehacks.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. And they have a whole article on some habits of highly effective people. Now, people who are fulfilled know the importance of prioritizing the people that they care about. And these aren't draining relationships. These aren't relationships of purely obligation. These are relationships that are important and lasting and enduring. And they understand the value of fostering these connections. Highly fulfilled people will often make these relationships a priority by having, for example, like a standing scheduled date. And it doesn't mean it's like a romantic date. I have a good friend, for example, and we really support each other in our work and we talk things out. And we have kind of a standing monthly dinner that we have, and at the dinner we schedule the next dinner because this person in this relationship is a priority and a priority friendship for me. How does that show up for you? Are there people in your life, relationships that are long term, that support you, that nourish you, that recharge you and fulfill you? And are you making this a priority? It could even look like monthly Sunday brunch with the girls, for example. It doesn't have to be a business type relationship. But one other thing that highly fulfilled people have in common is making time to create connection with these deep, long term, fulfilling relationships. And again, it includes yourself too. Highly fulfilled people make time for themselves. Because if you're not making time for yourself, how do you know what you want? How do you know what you need? How do you know what's no longer working for you, for example? And I find it in mediumship so commonly that I'll have a person in the spirit world, and maybe you can identify with this example, this story. I'll have a person in the spirit world. It's not always a dad, but sometimes a dad who will come forward, and my sitter, the recipient, will be their kiddo, an adult kiddo usually, and they'll express sentiments of, wow, I focused so much in my life on my work and I made something for my family. I supported my family. I was there. I built a career, or I built a business, or I worked very hard, but I didn't prioritize the connection with my family. I didn't give you the emotional acknowledgement that you needed. I didn't give you the love that I needed. And man, I really regret that because I realize how much deeper and more profound our relationship could have been. Have you ever experienced that? Someone in your life that was so focused on success that they didn't prioritize a very important relationship, or maybe all of the very important relationships in their life? I know I don't want to slip into that. And that's something that I try to stay very aware of. And it could even look like making sure that you're touching in by text and saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I'm caring about you. But really intentionally prioritizing connection with friends, family, and self. And I don't mean the surface connections of people, that are energy sucks or time sucks that just drain you and aren't fulfilling, and there's not this reciprocal deep understanding between the two of you. Of course, it takes time to build that and get to that, but are you making time for that? Are you prioritizing these connections, these relationships? Because highly fulfilled people, they are. And I don't want you to miss out on that, because that really, relationships of all kinds are the color in our lives, right? So, where could you be better prioritizing those few relationships that really fulfill you, that really recharge you and support you? And maybe this relationship with me on this podcast is one of those for you. I hope it is, because you guys are an important relationship in my life. Now, this fifth habit of highly fulfilled people is living on purpose. Highly fulfilled people focus on doing the things that give them a sense of purpose. This also makes it much easier to work with that inner critic that we all have, because if you're focused on the purpose of something, when that critic comes in, it's easier to know, I don't have to listen to that critic. I'm on purpose. This is my purpose. And that can, again, show up in all different areas of our life. For example, if you have, I don't know, this year, say that one of your purposes that you have decided to dedicate yourself to is healthy lifestyle. That's one of mine, certainly, is moving towards perfect health. Now, for me, I know that getting up earlier is the best time for me to incorporate my wellness activities. It's just what works best for me right now. I already know this. And when I have my alarm go off early in the morning, that critic or that inner complainer wants to come in and say, no, I just want one more hour. We don't need to be getting up this early. This is ridiculous. Push that snooze button. And if I know my purpose is that I want to get as healthy as possible so I can live the most fulfilled life that I want. So I don't have to say, oh, I can't go on that hike. I don't know if my lungs can handle it. So I don't have to say, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't feel strong enough. So that's my purpose. It's based on the way I want to live my life and the way I want to feel in my body. So when that critic comes in and says, sleep more, it's easier. It doesn't totally take it away, but it's certainly easier for me to say, no, I have a bigger purpose here. It's about the way I want to live my life and how I'm showing up and the strength I'm trying to create. And we all know that health, especially when it comes to our physical fitness in our body, that's not something we can create for ourselves in one day. That is many diligent days strung together that make real physical change in our health, in our wellness. Even if it's that you want to be able to walk 5 miles instead of two, whatever it is that's your goal, that's your purpose, understanding it so that you have it in a very clear, crisp, concise way so that when that critic comes in, you can say, no, actually, I don't need confidence to do this part. So I am good enough to wake up early and put my shoes on, for example. We can apply this idea of purpose to any area of our lives, whether it's living a healthy lifestyle or raising children to be good human beings, for example, or growing a Fortune 500 company. Highly fulfilled people make action or choice based on how and if it's in alignment with their purpose. And understanding how their purpose plays into the bigger picture of their intentions. And living a purposeful life, or a life that feels like it has meaning and deeper purpose, is in and of itself fulfilling. So you get a double whammy for this one. And that's something that highly fulfilled people know, that if they're living on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose, or focusing intentionally towards this purpose, it's not a goal. It's different than a goal, because a goal is something to reach, to tick off our list, right? But a purpose is so much deeper than that. One of my purposes here with this podcast with all of you is creating a community, creating a place, a safe space that you know you can come to get information from trustworthy people who have a wealth of knowledge and experience in their area, who are trying to, in some way, better it for all of us, right? Whether they're trying to put wisdom out there, whether they're trying to raise the vibration, whether they're trying to help people heal their lives or connect with the spirit world, people who want to give and shine their light and create community with all of you. That's my purpose for this podcast. So it makes it a lot easier for me to do the hours of editing that it takes to produce these for you guys, because I know my purpose is to create community. And it also helps me know that I don't need to expect it to happen overnight. We all know community relationships are built over time. So that helps me to be more on purpose with this podcast for all of you. And where in your life could you redefine or tighten up or more deeply understand your purpose, right? Because it's the fifth thing that highly fulfilled people have in common. The fifth habit that they all have in common is understanding the purpose, having a sense of purpose, and moving, focusing towards that purpose. And then you can check activities, right? Because a lot of people will tell me, oh, Joy, I find myself wasting time on social media, for example. Well, you might give yourself a portion of time to do that. Maybe it's 20 minutes that you're going to be on social and then you're going to put it to the side. But if you know, oh, it's because the other 40 minutes of this hour, I want to spend doing my meditation so that I could be more available for subtle energies in my intuition. Or maybe that other 40 minutes, I want to spend reading this book because I'm trying to learn more about building this company. So that's the purpose there. And then it helps you more intentionally, more easily quiet the voice, that negative voice or that inner critic voice, and really you can join this group of highly fulfilled people and be on your purpose. Understanding how that purpose plays into the bigger picture of your intentions really makes it easier to decide whether a task, a habit, a hobby is in alignment with what you're trying to do with your life, how fulfilled you're trying to be, or not. I want to share a cool quote with you that I came across by Tony Robbins. If you don't know who he is an internationally acclaimed speaker, motivational speaker, and self help um, maybe guru. I don't know. Don't love that word. So his quote is, to have an extraordinary quality of life, you need two skills: the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Your long term happiness and fulfillment really depend on your ability to fulfill your soul purpose, your unique lifestyle, the calling that's on your heart, your unique expression, and to show up in the world and shine the light that only you can, to fill the shoes that only you can wear, to make the contributions that only you can make. So I'm encouraging you and supporting you and holding out this invitation to you to try some of these 5 main habits of highly fulfilled people, because I want you to identify as a highly fulfilled person. That's my wish for you for 2023. It's my wish for all of us. It's my wish for myself and for you. So just going over these 5 habits, checking in with yourself, seeing where you can apply or implement these into your life so that you can have habits that highly fulfill you, so you can live a more fulfilled life. Remember, wanting success is chasing a destination that's constantly moving. Wanting fulfillment, experiencing fulfillment, is an emotion that is within you, that comes from you, that you can take everywhere with you, into every situation, into every experience, into every day of your life. Fulfillment's not something you need to wait to feel. It's something you can start feeling right now. Let me know your thoughts about this. I really love when you leave comments, when you email me, and when you share how this moved you, what of these steps you're implementing, and how it's creating change for you. I've already shared a few of mine. Did any of these resonate with you? Are there any areas that kind of struck a nerve with you that you said, oh yeah, I would be more fulfilled if I was doing that? Or, oh yeah, I know a highly fulfilled person, that is one of their habits. Let me know your thoughts. And if you would like to potentially win a reading that might potentially be aired on a future episode, I'm going to be starting to do drawings from my VIP insiders list. So all you have to do to get on that is go to my website, joyfulmedium.com. You can also sign up for the free signs course, Sign Magnet, where you can start learning how to tune into your intuition and get signs from the universe, signs from your loved ones in the spirit world. So it'll give you that free signs course, but it'll also put you on my VIP insiders list, because in these solo episodes, one of the things I'm excited to start doing is giving you an insider seat at the table in some of my mediumship readings. So you can see how mediumship works, see what happens. They're such magical, mystical, powerful, emotional experiences that I don't even quite know how to describe it for you. But if you'd like to be entered to win, all you have to do is get on that VIP insiders list. I'm going to be drawing people from that list to receive free readings and then potentially be aired on a future episode. So I hope that you will get in that pool, in that list, on that VIP insiders list, so that I might have a chance to read for you. And again, let me know what other topics you want to hear about. Are you liking these tips and tools and tricks? Would you rather hear more readings? I really, like I said, this is a community for you to get access to teachers that you might not be able to hear their wisdom. You might not have access to them, or you might not have heard of them. To get access to different tools, different perspectives, different areas of your own spiritual life or your own personal life. So, really, that you can be the most fulfilled version of yourself, and so that you can feel loved and supported by this community. I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you again for joining me. It has been an honor and a privilege as usual. And I hope you will join me for our next episode. I know what it's going to be, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but you are not going to want to miss it. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside the Spirit Speakeasy.